I'm David Davidson, and this is your guide to getting fit for mountain biking in 2024, and it's done by someone who's been on the journey himself. Now, when I say been on the journey, I mean I started out as a really good mountain biker back when I started, and then after I got a job, after I let life catch up to me, and I didn't even get out of shape, I just had a lot of stress. What happened is my body shut down and I couldn't ride like I used to. I started getting injured faster. I started feeling every single workout way harder, and it got to the point where I couldn't even lift my right arm. So in this guide, it's going to be different from the other approaches you see out there. Typical guides and programs, what they do is they tell you need to do interval training. They tell you need to do a ton of sit-ups. They tell you need to do a ton of weights and stretching. Now, instead of these approaches, what we're going to be looking at is the one mistake that a lot of riders make and that they actually completely miss. And it's the reason why you get arm pump. It's the reason why when you go out to trails, you feel nervous. It's the reason why, and we all have it, it's called mortgage brain. When we have mortgage brain, it's the reason why we listen to that mortgage brain and we ride rigid and we actually can cause crashes. So I'm gonna prevent that for you today in this guide. So get ready, get out a sheet of paper, get ready to dive in. So I'm gonna give you this guide right here. My idea for you is to implement this guide and save it in your saved videos because I cover a lot of information that you can come back to over time and really get more nuances out of it. So it's fine if you want to save it here and then check back in on this video in a few months once you've made some progress. Also, when you save this video, you're going to get to see more videos like this one. So that's going to help you really round out your approach to help you shred with confidence. So I'll say this first. This is an anti-weights approach, and I'm going to get some heat for this. And the reason why it's an anti-weights approach and the reason why there's so many riders out there right now risking their life, it's because you actually don't have the mobility that you need to even do the weight training that you're trying to do. And this might hurt some egos, but I just need to tell it to you straight up. If you don't have the mobility and you're adding weights to that, all you're doing is you're putting stronger muscles on a weak frame. You're putting stronger muscles on a weak frame. And ultimately what this can do for you as a mountain biker, not just cause injuries, but it can cause crashes. And I did another video on this, but Whistler did a study back earlier in the day, and it said that mountain biking is one of the most dangerous sports you can possibly do, which doesn't mean don't do it. It just means that we need to be better at doing dangerous things. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of the weights. Now, don't literally get rid of your weights because you might need them later on, but for now we need to go back to fundamentals, back to basics. And what we need to do is we need to build a body from the ground up. And this weight-free approach is very, very important for building mobility. So in other words, you need to understand what mobility is, you need to apply it, and then we can add strength to that mobility later on. So the first thing we need to do to get strong for mountain biking, to do things like corners and drops and jumps, and to do them all in a way where we're comfortable moving around on the bike, going up and down and being in flow, the first thing we need to do is we need to actually build strength throughout our range of motion, okay? So mobility is not how far you can move a joint. Mobility is not how strong your muscles are. Mobility is how far and how well you can move a body part throughout the range of its entire motion. Okay, so how do you improve mobility? One of the most important things is to do a daily routine. And honestly, you can look up just go to Google and Google great mobility routine for mountain bikers. You'll find something. Now, what you want to do though, is you want to work on mobility daily. And what I can tell you is if you spend 10 to 15 minutes per day just doing mobility work, it's going to have a bigger impact on your riding than if you just lift weights.
Yeah, I'm actually in a similar boat. I've been doing the workouts that you guys gave me like religiously, and I feel better than I've felt probably ever. Like I have as you know, I have like a low back issue and a neck issue, and I finally feel like I've cracked the code. Like it does flare up, but like it never gets debilitating like it used to.
And mobility, when you build this foundation, what it does is it allows you to move and have full control throughout your entire range of motion. The biggest one that this impacts is cornering. Let's take a look here at this cornering clip together. What do you notice? We have ankle mobility involved, we have hip mobility involved, we have the rider moving in one plane, we have the bike moving in another plane, we have tilt of the bike, we have torso pointed in a different direction than the hips. We have everything. And if you're lacking mobility in any one area, then your entire cornering body position falls apart. And so this is why it's so incredibly important for you to focus on mobility and to actually be a mobile rider if you care about riding. So this is the thing that drives me up a wall. It really bothers me seeing riders say, I really want to have a great experience riding. Let me just slap a really good bike on a body that doesn't move. Look, you don't need more travel. And from the bottom bracket of my heart, I really mean this. You need more mobility. When you have mobility in your body, you can have any ability on the bike. When you have more mobility in your body, you can have any ability on the bike. That's what we really want. That's why 65-year-olds that are actual real athletes on hardtails are beating you right now. And wouldn't you rather be that 65, 70-year-old athlete one day who can do anything on a bike instead of just someone who happens to get away with it because their bike is really good? So once you make this shift and start realizing mobility in your life, again, just having a simple 5, 10, 15-minute daily routine that you follow, everything else is magnified and amplified. When you're out on the trail, you're going to feel flowy, you're going to feel loose, you're going to feel mobile, you're going to feel like anything that you touch on the trail turns into control and it turns into fun. Now, where this is going to help you the most, again, is in your longevity. Another thing that's a great indicator of health is how often you move. And if you're moving and you're mobile, you're going to want to do it more often. And that's why so many, not everybody in mountain biking, but a whole lot of riders do it for the long-term health benefits. So if you don't have mobility, it is the single biggest thing you can do. It's even more important than diet. It's even more important than rest. It's even more important than those things because mobility is directly correlated to your body positions, and body positions are directly correlated to your ability to have skill on the bike, and skill is what keeps you from crashing. So mobility is one of the biggest things in terms of safety that you can possibly do on the bike. Now, I'm making this second tip for those of you riders who you haven't intended to get a little out of shape, but you did, and now you're like, wait, mountain biking is awesome. Oh my gosh, I also need to get in shape. This second one is for you, so listen closely. It's really easy. Now that we've talked about mobility, let's talk a little bit about how to fuel your body while you're doing really cool things on the bike. So if you're out there in the middle of a trail, I don't know if you've ever felt this before, but that weird bonking feeling where it feels like you can't go any faster and you're pushing as hard as you can. And whether you're doing a downhill run or an uphill pedal, it just, nothing happens. You feel like you're completely out of energy. It's one of the worst feelings ever. Now, on one hand, the reason this happens is because of conditioning. And yes, some mobility does play into this. If you're working harder to achieve those body positions and those movements, you run out of energy faster. But what we really want to look at for longevity and feeling good on the trail is our diet. The diet that we eat has a huge impact on two things. One, how heavy you are. If you're carrying around an extra 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 100 pounds of fat, that fat isn't helping you. If you're carrying a pack or your bike is a little bit more burly because it's tougher, those are useful weights. The kind of weight that we carry around with us that's based on Oreos is not a useful weight. It's just not. It's more like a counterweight to the fun that we're trying to have. Now, for those of you out there who are like, oh, this guy's fat shaming, he's fat phobic. No, you're completely missing the point. If you want the highest performance, power to weight ratio is absolutely important. And for those extremely gifted riders who can do it with 50 or 60 pounds of extra body fat or 100 pounds of extra body fat on their body, more power to you. That's cool. What I'm talking about is for riders like me who, if I am 10 pounds overweight, I feel every ounce of it. I want to have the most fun on the bike as possible. And so all of it comes down to diet. Having the right body composition comes down to about 90% your diet. Now, what you cannot change is your metabolism, which is probably the most of your calories that you burn, and the other 20% is how you do exercise and whatnot. What you can control is what goes in the body, okay? And look, I feel like this is pretty common knowledge, but the more calories you eat and the worse quality those calories are, the more fat that you gain and the worse you feel. It's just what it is. Now, for some reason, there are some people out there that will argue to this video and they'll say, well, what about this? What about this? And I get all the reply guys in the comments below saying, what about this? What about that? Well, here's what I would say to you. If I was 300 pounds overweight, would the solution be for me to eat more food? In no universe would eating more food solve my problem. And so less of the wrong kind of calories is always better. Now, how do you eat? This is how I eat. I eat the same thing every day. I eat oatmeal for breakfast with local honey from literally my neighbor right there. He has honeybees. He is awesome. His name is George. Shout out to George. You are the man. I eat oatmeal with honey. I put some water inside of that oatmeal, and I put a little dash of salt on the top for some taste. What else I do is I eat a slab of salmon from Costco. It is frozen. I put some seasoning on the top and I eat it. It's 38 grams of protein. It's got omega-3s. I take some eggs. I usually take 4, maybe 5 eggs, and I put them in a cast iron skillet and I fry them up in first cold pressed olive oil from my mom's shop in Roswell, Georgia. I don't even think I can put a link below because I don't think she has her website up, but comment below if you want some olive oil from my mom. I eat this for breakfast every single day. For lunch, I eat rice and chicken and broccoli. And then dinner, I eat whatever in the world my wife cooks, or I go take my kids out to Little Caesars and we have some pizza. I've never tracked my calories for longer than, say, a month or so, but when I have tracked my calories, I've always been in close to a calorie deficit, believe it or not. And so when we have a calorie deficit and we eat high quality food, you eat enough protein, you get enough vitamins and minerals, your body just finds a way to stay healthy. Now, for some of you who are like me with a little bit faster metabolism, you're going to take that body fat and you're going to probably burn it off a little bit quicker. And for those of you with a little bit of a slower metabolism, you need to be a little bit more careful about your calorie deficits. The single best way you can do this is eat the same thing every day so you don't have to count carbs, and go Google a low inflammatory diet. Just Google it. It's not hard. If you spend your life eating Oreos and sugar and processed foods, look at the labels. If it's got anything with sugar in it, which everything has sugar in it, it is not good for you. Those sugars turn into body fat. And all you have to do to gain 20, 30, 40 pounds is eat like a box of Oreos every 6 weeks. It's not hard to gain weight. If you want to shred on the trail and have lots of energy for the uphill, for the downhill, again, low inflammation diet, lots of water, eat the same thing every day. That way you don't have to count it every single time, and then and stick with it. Again, if you get a 6-pack, it's only going to make you feel better. So no reason not to. Now, you guys are going to love me. I'm about to contradict everything with number 3. Number 3 is we need to actually create a massively explosive set of legs. One of the ways to do that is with weight. I know earlier in this video, I said we're not going to be using weight. It's a weight-free approach. Here's the thing. Once you build mobility and once you build flexibility and you've got your core and your lower body working properly, you do need to build some, you need to build some hips. You got to do it. This is mountain biking. And the thing that no one talks about is how big the G-forces are in corners and on jumps and drops. The G-forces are insane. Sometimes we're talking 5, 6, 7 G-forces. If you weigh 200 pounds, 5 G-forces means you weigh 1,000 pounds. That's a lot of weight. You have to hold that weight up. Now, I discovered this at the pump track a few weeks ago, and as I was going around the turns, I noticed myself really struggling. Have a listen. And it wasn't because of anything other than I was hitting the corner nice and low and I was hitting it very fast, which meant that the rate of my turn was very high. And it meant that I was really getting compressed into the bike quite a bit. And I wasn't able to really handle those G-forces the way that I should. So it's straight up like you have to have, like this is not talked about. You have to have powerful legs. You have to in mountain biking. If you don't have powerful legs, it's dangerous to do drops. You won't be able to hold your body up during cornering. And if you try to jump, you're just going to get compressed and you're going to get sent over the bars. If you don't have just raw power and strength in your legs, mountain biking is extremely difficult. How you fix this are very, very, very simple exercises. And for this one, I would recommend getting an in-person trainer or a physical therapist or like a really, really good experienced, like a fitness professional to guide you through how to do these. And here are the exercises: squats and deadlifts. That's it. Like if you do squats and you progressively load them, again, just strong lifts 5x5 is really helpful. I used to do strong lifts 5x5. It's a very basic workout program you can follow. And I really agree with it. It includes progressive overload over time. It'll help you. If you do these things, you build great mobility in your body. If you go out and you have a great diet and you also have powerful legs that you can count on when you're doing jumps and drops and high G-force turns, then look, you're going to be really pushing your buddies out there and you're going to have a lot more fun. Just scroll down to the bottom. You're going to see more videos just like this one. I also linked some basics videos to help you implement these once you've got the strength off the bike. Dave Davidson here. Great to see you guys. Peace.